The Mughal Empire. They managed to rule over us for over 300 years after the invasion. They have seen many uprisings and rebellions, bloodshed amongst the royal family to claim the throne. They have done some good and so many horrible things to the people of India. While history books at schools and colleges only talk about their architecture and administration, there are so many dark pages that these books do not mention. Bloodlust, religious extremism, intolerance, massacres. But one emperor of this dynasty took all of these to another horrifying level. Aurangzeb. He ascended the peacock throne after killing his own brothers, placing his father, Emperor Shah Jahan, under house arrest. His vicious acts are seldom mentioned anywhere in the history books. Such is the intensity of the amount of violence and bloodshed this man engaged in. The last powerful ruler of the Mughal Empire. This is the dark story of Aurangzeb. Hello to all the curious bees out there. Now sit back, relax, plug in your earphones as we travel to the 17th century Hindustan under the rule of Mughal invaders. Aurangzeb was born as Muhi al-Din Muhammad to then Emperor Shah Jahan and his favorite wife Mumtaz Mahal. As a child, he spent several years in Lahore as a result of some rebellions that took place within the royal family until Shah Jahan became the emperor. Aurangzeb was trained in combat administration and he was extremely well versed in the Islamic studies, Persian and Turkish literature. He had three brothers, Shah Suja, Murad and Dara Shikoh. Amongst all his sons, Dara Shikoh was the emperor's favorite. Dara Shikoh was also the prince loved by the people for his liberal thoughts, tolerance towards other religions and his calm nature. While Dara Shikoh spent most of his time discussing art, literature and religion with religious scholars of all religions and different poets, Aurangzeb was sent to various military campaigns in the Deccan. To make it simple, Dara Shikoh was always under the watchful eye of his father, Emperor Shah Jahan, under his care and lived a lavish lifestyle. While Aurangzeb grew up fighting in the battles and spending most of his time waging wars, killing the enemy and being covered in blood, all for the Mughal Empire. He was a battle-hardened warrior, far from all the luxury that the Agra fort had to offer. He was a staunch Muslim, devoted to his religion and acted by its command. He continuously expanded the Mughal Empire over the Deccan and was successful in it. Successful in it until the Lion of the Marathas, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, started his hunt. Now, Aurangzeb's constant victories and ability to win at the battlefield made Shah Jahan insecure. He feared a rebellion led by Aurangzeb, so he never let Aurangzeb come anywhere close to Agra and kept him at bay, assigning him various tasks and positioned him either in the Deccan or Bengal. He was the viceroy of the Deccan and governor of Gujarat for many years until the War of Succession began. One day, Shah Jahan's daughter and Aurangzeb's sister, Jahanara, was hurt in a fire accident and every member of the family was summoned to the court to pay their respects. Every general and vassal of the empire was present for this except Aurangzeb, who was busy in the Deccan. Aurangzeb came to Agra weeks later and this made Shah Jahan furious. Adding more fuel to the fire, Aurangzeb entered the royal court in military attire used for wars, instead of fine royal clothing, which literally meant that he was disrespecting the Mughal tradition. Shah Jahan was enraged by Aurangzeb's actions and dismissed him from the position of Deccan's viceroy. Shah Jahan favored his son Dara Shikoh to become the next emperor, and this caused massive outrage amongst the other three brothers. They thought Dara Shikoh was too soft to become the emperor of Hindustan, and they started to partner up against their brother Dara Shikoh to claim the throne. Now, Murad was a drunkard who spent most of his time under intoxication. Shah Suja was said to be a womanizer, but they had to team up to defeat their brother and their father's favorite, Dara Shikoh. Later on, Shah Jahan fell ill and Dara took care of his father. But the other brothers were misinformed that the emperor was dead and Dara Shikoh was set to crown himself the next Badshah, since every one of them were away from Agra. Shah Shuja and Murad crowned themselves kings in their territories. Soon after this, Shah Jahan was enraged and he waged a war against Shah Shuja at Varanasi. Shah Jahan and Dara Shikoh managed to defeat Shah Shuja. Shah Jahan immediately sent his troops to defeat Murad, but Aurangzeb and Murad had already partnered up and combined their forces on an agreement that they would divide the kingdom between them and rule once they are done with Dara Shikoh. Aurangzeb emerged victorious. Dara Shikoh's forces and Aurangzeb's forces went on a full-scale war against each other at Samugarh. Dara was no match to Aurangzeb since he was always under the shroud of his father, while Aurangzeb and his army were battle-hardened. Dara Shikoh was defeated while Shah Jahan was put under house arrest, where he remained with his daughter until his death. The cunning Aurangzeb then broke his pact with his brother Murad and imprisoned him at the Gwalior fort, and he was later executed. Aurangzeb then chased Dara Shikoh and finally captured him. Aurangzeb's greatest allegation against Dara was that he was not a true Muslim since he was secular by nature. Aurangzeb then started preparing for his coronation and crowned himself the next Badshah of Hindustan. Dara Shikoh was executed for apostasy. Before being beheaded, he was tortured and paraded through the streets of Agra just to instill fear amongst people and to make a statement that any person who intends to overthrow Aurangzeb would meet the same fate. After his execution, Dara Shikoh's head was sent to his father Shah Jahan. Aurangzeb also killed his nephew, Dara's eldest son, Suleiman Shikoh. He gave his nephew an opium-based slow poison which would eventually drive him to insanity and kill him. But as months passed, Aurangzeb grew impatient and ordered him to be strangled to death. Years passed and Aurangzeb became a powerful Mughal emperor. He was a staunch Muslim who intended to grow Islam in Hindustan. He wanted to establish Islamic rule. He codified Sharia law and implemented the codified Sharia, Fatwa Alamgiri, all over his empire. Learning that Varanasi and the spiritual practices there attracted thousands of Muslims, he ordered the demolition of religious schools and temples in Kashi. Sikh Guru Tej Singh Bahadur was forced to convert to Islam by Aurangzeb, and when he refused, he was put to torture and later beheaded. He reinforced the jizya tax that was abolished by his ancestor, Emperor Akbar. The jizya tax was levied upon non-Muslims and he started to tax Hindu merchants very heavily. Hundreds of Hindu temples were demolished under his order, and one amongst them was the Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi. Not just demolishing, he also started commencing the construction of the Gyanvapi Masjid in its premises. While Hindustan and its people were suffering under Aurangzeb's Islamic rule, and just when Aurangzeb thought that his dream of ruling over the entire country of Hindustan was seeming to shape up into reality, and not one Hindu ruler had the courage to stand up against him after centuries of being persecuted by the Mughals and made their puppets. A force from the Deccan rose. He would go on to free his people from the shackles of centuries of Islamic rule by Aurangzeb and his ancestors. He would establish the first Hindavi Swaraj. He would give his people hope and inspire lakhs of people to fight against the Islamic invader. He made sure that he gave Aurangzeb sleepless nights and tipped him off his balance. He made sure that Aurangzeb's dream of conquering the whole of Hindustan remained a mere dream. He would be loved and revered as people's savior, their Maharaj, and an avatar of Lord Shiva himself for centuries to come. He was the lion of the Deccan, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. The final years of Aurangzeb was spent in vain trying to defeat the Maratha Empire led by their people's champion, and Aurangzeb's dream of ruling over the entire country remained a mere dream. He died at the age of 88 on March 3rd, 1707 in Been Nagar with unfulfilled dreams. Even though Shivaji Maharaj had died an early death much before Aurangzeb due to his body taking a toll on him after his entire life that he spent on horseback and fighting the invaders with a significantly small army, but full of fire and vision. Even though Shivaji Maharaj's son was captured by him and put under various inhuman tortures like flaying of his skin, gouging his eyeballs out, plucking his hair and chopping his tongue off, Shambhaji Maharaj stood tall just like his legendary father. He refused to convert and kneel down. He was eventually killed by Aurangzeb, but he still couldn't conquer the Deccan. Aurangzeb was not able to conquer Deccan even after he himself took over the command and moved his court to Aurangabad. Such was the revolution sparked by Shivaji Maharaj. Such was his vision and such was his sacrifice. The following is Aurangzeb's final words on his deathbed. My years have gone by profitless. God has been in my heart, yet my darkened eyes have not recognized his light. There is no hope for me in future. The fever is gone, but only the skin is left. The army is confounded, and without heart or help, even as I am, apart from God, with no rest for the heart. When I have lost all hope in myself, how can I hope in others? You should accept my last will. It should not happen that Muslims be killed and the blame for death rest upon this useless creature. I have greatly sinned and know not what torment awaits me. So that's it for today's episode of The B Show. Keep the fire of curiosity alive in you for eternity. The decades of conflict between the Marathas and Mughals and Shivaji Maharaj's rise will be covered in the channel very soon, and I am 100% sure that it would give you all goosebumps. So watch out for that and peace out.